What's up, Warriors? This is a series of videos of how to generate our results from our SERVQUAL and then analyze those results. So in this first video, I'm going to talk about getting to a point to where we can further generate the results of our SERVQUAL. So first, a brief review. And before we begin, the Excel spreadsheet that we'll be using is this one called SERVQUAL Warrior Spring 2024. I would certainly recommend that especially if you're viewing this for the first time, that you work on your computer if you can, maybe split your screen, or if you have the luxury of two monitors, that would be super. But that you work through what we're doing as I talk about it here, even if you have to pause the video. I think that would be most productive. If you can't do that, then I suppose watching the video and then trying to do it all from memory. But really, you can look at the steps, and there's a tab here I'll show it to you for the steps of what we're about to do. But in my opinion, it's easiest to watch and then do, and then repeat that cycle to get muscle memory and mental muscle memory. So I'm going to assume that you've already had a foundation of the SERVQUAL. Just to review, doing the SERVQUAL, we're conducting a pre and a post survey. A survey before a customer takes a service or experiences a service, and then a survey after they experience the service. And we're going to organize our questions that we ask them around the dimensions of service quality, which are right here. So from this point on, you're just going to see the letters that these stand for. So it's important that you know what we're doing in the first place, because this video is going to focus more on the how rather than the why. So please don't forget the why. That's the most important part. When we look at all this data, we need to remember that we're looking at a service quality dimension, or dimension of service quality, one of these five. And there's certain questions in our surveys that relate to that dimension of service quality. So for example, questions 1 through 4 in our survey relate to the dimension of service quality of tangibles, physical things that we can touch. Okay, so that's a very brief review. If we click on the Master Steps tab here at the bottom, it's not very big, and that's because I don't want to talk about it really right now. But it is, if you're one of those people that understands things digitally or would like some digital instructions to fall back on, this is a good place to start. So remember, we're collecting data before the service, and so we have to give people our expectation survey. So our data might look like this before we capture it. What we have running this way is the customer. So a first customer to take our survey, the expectation survey that happens before the service, we get all of their data entries per question. And remember, these are all questions that are done on a Likert scale of 1 to 7. So we can see here that customer 1 had an answer of 7 for question number 1. And over here, we have those dimensions of service quality and the questions that refer to them. Okay, so once we capture all of our data, it's going to look like this for the expectation survey. And what we want to do is get the average response for each question. So at this point, we're going horizontally or by the row. So if we want to get the average response for question number 1, that means we're going to take the average of all of these numbers right here. And so to do that, I'm just going to go out here. First, let me make sure that our numbers are going to appear for you, dear viewer, so that you can get what's going on. Okay, so we're going to use the Excel function of average. And at this point, like many things in Excel, we're going to go over to that lead cell in the array. We're going to click down our left and hold on our mouse. And then we're just going to scroll to the right. And along the way, we might accidentally get too much. We just go back, make sure we got them all, just like Pokemon. Then we let go. And we close parentheses. Okay. And from here, what we're going to do is we're going to grab this little dot here in the lower right-hand corner of that cell box. We're going to grab that by putting our cursor over it. See how my cursor kind of changes? And then I'm going to hold down with my left click. And there, I should just be able to drag this on down. And I get averages. So I have the question 22 average is a 3.92. Question, whatever this is, it looks like it's question 13. That's how we do that. Okay. Then what we're going to do is get the average of the averages for the respective service dimension. And this is where we have to kind of slow down, make sure we get this right, because if we're moving too fast, we could get sloppy. And as the old phrase goes, be quick, but don't hurry. So we want to move. And when we're starting out, we want to do this as slow as we need to. And the speed will come with the repetitions. So here, I'm sorry, let me first get these, again, at a font that matches everything else so that you can see this. Okay, so we're going to take the average of questions 1 through 4 averages, and that is these numbers here. So again, we're going to hold down with our mouse, and we're just going to go down for 1, 2, 3, 4. And let go. And we're going to continue. So here, we need the average of questions 5 through 9. So we're going to go here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And here, average of questions 10 through 13 of those averages. 10, 11, 12, 13. Here, the average of questions 14 through 17. 14, 15, 16, 17. Now, the last one is my favorite because all we have to do is really slow down to get the first one. Boom. And then we don't have to worry about being backstopped because we're at the end of the line. All right. So what I like to do too is just check to make sure that I did everything right. And the way I'm going to check it is I'm going to watch up here to make sure that this, where one average stops, the other one picks up. So check it out. So we have AB4 through AB7. Those refers to the cells. Here it picks up at AB8 to 12, super. I'm looking for the next one to pick up at 13, which it does. And then I'm looking for the next one to pick up at 17, which it does. And that last one to pick up at 21. Remember, don't get confused by the cells versus the questions. Those are two different things. When I'm looking up here, all I'm doing is checking to make sure that I don't have any gaps or any overlapping in how I did my averages. And this is not a necessary step, what I just talked about. This is just technique. And that's what I'll do in these videos along the way. I'll try to specify and say, hey, this is just Excel technique. Don't forget, don't lose your eyes on the prize. We can get carried away with what we do here, and I often do. But at the end of the day, there's certain things that we have to do, and that's the so what of this whole thing, not necessarily some tricks and cool stuff that we did inside of Excel. All right, so since we have all this data right now, I'm just going to label this column is with E as the expectation data. Of course, I want to get it bigger so I can read it. Okay. And then and just, technique, cleaning this up a little bit. That kind of stuff only matters if I'm briefing somebody or, So it's especially under test conditions, it's important to practice and identify what you really need to do so that you know what you're looking at and what you don't need to do. All right. So what I'm going to do now is copy all of this. So I'm going to go to copy. Don't need to worry about doing anything special now. And I have a tab out here, a couple tabs to the right that I'm going to do some analysis on. So I'm going to go there. Right now it's blank, just for scaling wise. Let me get a little bit bigger. That'll work. I'm just going to park that data up here. Now, remember that where I left off on the prior spreadsheet, the numbers that appeared were at the end of a function. The problem is if I just paste that as is, just blindly, and I am working on a Mac, by the way, but at work I use a PC, obviously. So I understand both, and there's a little bit of differences. So I'll try to address those so that Mac users and PC users, everybody can be happy. So if I just paste blindly here, I'm going to get some Excel gibberish. This is essentially Excel telling me, I don't like what you told me to do. Someday Excel is going to be smart enough to not do this kind of thing. But to avoid this, let's just back up the best function in the world, the undo button. Golly, I wish life was like that. So we're going to paste, but we're going to paste special. Now, on a PC, it'll give us icons when we do this. And oh, by the way, to get this menu, I right-clicked, and that will appear. Right-click is another fantastic thing. It's like opening a closet you didn't even know were there. Kind of like the Batcave. Anyway, so paste special is where I want to go. On a PC, I'm going to get an icon with numbers on it. That's what I want to do. I could go to paste special on a PC. It takes me more time, but if I go to that menu on a PC, I want to select values. Okay, so here I'm telling Excel, just take the values, bro. Don't take the whole formula, because I know that you can't do that, and I have to have macros and all this other kind of high-speed stuff that I don't want to do. So just take the values. And when we take the values, bam, we have the values. Okay, if we want to make this pretty again, we got to do it. If we don't, who cares? Boom. Okay. Sometimes when we migrate things, they kind of look different on the end. I don't know why that is. Now, this is going to make more sense later, technique-wise, and I think it'll keep us straight once we get here. I'm just going to scooch these here. Boom. Okay? All right, and I'll explain why I did that here in a second. So to scooch, technical term, I just highlight the cells. I grab, so my little hand pops up like that, the whole Michael Jackson hand, the white glove, and then I hold down, and then I let go. Okay, hold down while I scroll, and then let go. All right, cool. Let's go back to our perception tab. Remember, we're doing an expectation survey before the service. We collect that data. We go ahead and get the average of the averages for each question. Then we get the average of the averages for the service dimensions of quality. And then we're going to put them over here so that once we get the perception data, we can rock out with the generating results. So perception data, same. Our little matrix is going to look like this. Customer is going to go across the top. Questions are going to go from top to bottom. Our service dimension and the questions that refer to them have not changed. Beautiful. So this is what it would look like after we've collected all the data. And so, kind of like those kid shows when I watched when I was a kid, what do you think we do now? It's like Blue's Clues. Not that I ever would have watched that. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go over here. We're going to get these averages. Well, first, again, I apologize that my Excel is just kind of not all squared away, and I have to do this Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to go over here, and we're going to get those averages. Okay, again, it's like Pokemon, got to catch them all. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click down. I'm going to scroll. If I, get off kilter along the way, I'm just going to get back so I only get the data that I need. Only got to do that one time, assuming I do it correctly. Boom. And then grab that corner. Boom. Same. Get the average of averages. I'm going to go a little bit more quickly here. I suppose there's other techniques that you could use to make this even more, I like to say bulletproof, error-proof, so that you're not grabbing the wrong cell. But, we're going to just kind of keep it simple. If you think of really simple techniques to implement for fellow warriors to do, then please let me know in the comments below. Oh, wait a minute. Or that, or just come tell me, or send up the signal, or whatever. Okay, so here we go. We have our perception data. And what is our perception data? Our perception data is simply the average of the averages for those respective dimensions of quality from our perception survey. Now, this time, I only need this because on my analysis tab, I already have all this other stuff. So all I need is the perception averages. So that's all I'm going to take. I'm going to copy. And I'm going to go back to that analysis tab, which is right next door. Boom. And that's why I left that gap, because I'm going to put this right here. Again, I forgot to paste special. So, our friend the undo button. I'm going to go here and paste special and those values. Oh, sorry, fat finger. I'm just going to make sure I did it right. Special values. Boom. If you want to make it nice and neat, cool. Otherwise, you're good to go. You have everything you need. At this point, we're going to wrap things up on this video. And then I'm going to make another video that picks us up from here. So quick wrap up. Where did we start? Well, we started with a foundation of knowledge about SERVQUAL. So what is that foundation of knowledge? We already know what the dimensions of service quality are. We already know that the SERVQUAL is a survey based around those dimensions of quality. And we're going to conduct a pair of surveys. An expectation survey before the service, and then a perception survey after the service. What we're going to do is get the average of the averages for each dimension of service quality from each service. We got it here from the expectation survey. That's the average of the averages for the questions of 1 through 4. That's the average of the averages for question 5 through 9, and so on. And we did it for the perception survey. Why did I set it up like this and not EP? Tune in to the next video and find out. See you soon.